Good afternoon, everyone. I'm delighted to be here with you today. I am Eunhwa Lee. I serve as Dean of Graduate School of Education at Silla University in South Korea. Today, I want to discuss evaluation of learning outcomes in competence-based education and outcome-based education. This is a critical topic for all of us as educators. I look forward to exploring these ideas together and hearing of your perspectives. Let's begin. Ah, Before beginning, I want to give an answer uh, uh, for your questions last week. Thank you, Professor Belaga Alona, for your excellent question. Let me explain how we determine the percentage contribution at Silla University. Who assigns the percentage? We have a curriculum committee that handle this process. For general education courses, the General Education Curriculum Committee decides. For major courses, the Major Curriculum Committee is responsible. These committees meet multiple times to determine the percentage. They carefully review each course syllabus. They examine several key elements: course learning objectives, course content, teaching method, and assessment method. The committees ensure balance. No single competence should dominate the curriculum. Each competence must be developed across multiple courses. Students need varied opportunities to practice each competency. If critical thinking appears in too many courses at high percentage, the committee will redistribute the weight. This ensures students develop all core competencies evenly throughout their program. Multiple faculty members participate in this decision. No single person determines the percentage. This brings diverse perspectives and prevent bias. The process takes time, but produces a well-balanced curriculum. And next question. Thank you for this important question, Professor Lam Buan Na-o. Avoiding overlaps and gaps is indeed one of the biggest challenges in competence mapping. Let me share our approach at Silla University. To avoid gaps, first we create a curriculum map matrix. We list all competencies on one axis and all courses on the other. This visual tool shows us immediately if any competency lacks sufficient coverage. Our rule is as follows. Every competence must appear in at least 3 to 4 courses across the program. This ensures students have multiple opportunities to develop its competence. To avoid overlaps, we track the total percentage for each competence across all courses. If one competence appears too frequently or at too high percentage, we rebalance. For example, if communication skill total 180% across all courses, but ethical reasoning only reached 60%. We know there is an imbalance. The curriculum committee will then redistribute the weight. Our committees meet at least twice per year. They review the complete curriculum map. Overlap is not always bad if it shows progress, but redundancy without advancement is a problem. That is why we review not just which courses address competencies, but how they address them. Now, let's begin today's presentation. Thank you so much. Before we dive deeper, let me pose a fundamental question. When we define learning outcomes as competencies, how do we evaluate student achievement in competence-based education? This is the central challenge we will explore together today. This question has several layers. How do we measure something as complex as competencies? How do we know students have truly developed these abilities? What evidence demonstrates competence achievement? How do we provide meaningful feedback that support further growth? These are not easy questions, but they are essential questions for effective competence-based education. Let's explore possible answers together. Let's begin by understanding how we evaluate learning outcomes in outcome-based education. Outcome-based education has four core components. First, articulation of desired learning outcomes. We must clearly define what students should be able to do when they complete their studies. Not what we will teach, but what students will achieve. Second, alignment of educational provision with desired learning outcomes. We design curriculum, teaching method, and assessments especially to help students achieve the attended outcomes. Everything must align with our goals. Third, assessment of student learning outcomes. We collect data on student achievement. We gather evidence that shows whether students have reached the desired outcomes. Fourth, continuous improvement based on outcome evidence. We use assessment data to improve our programs and courses. This creates a feedback loop for ongoing enhancement. These four elements work together as a system. Each element depends on the others. If an element is weak, the entire system suffers. This is the foundation of outcome-based education. This slide diagram shows how outcome-based education operates as a continuous cycle. Look at the orange circle in the center. The circle flows like this: setting learning outcomes, planning learning outcomes assessment, curriculum organization and implementation, learning outcome achievement evaluation, feedback on evaluation result. Then the circle begins again. Learning outcomes are set at multiple levels. Outcomes to be achieved upon graduation and outcomes to be achieved after one semester. Outcomes to be achieved after one lesson. And assessment occurs at different levels, by different or major, by individual course. And the curriculum includes general education and major education or major curriculum and extracurricular activities, lesson planning and implementation, and evaluation result feedback into the system at the institute level and at the department or major level at the course level. Throughout this entire process, we reflect the needs of various stakeholders, industry professionals, graduates, current students, parents, and subject matter experts. Their input ensures our outcomes remain relevant and meaningful. This is not a linear process. It is a continuous cycle of improvement. Each round through the cycle strengthens the system. This slide shows the continuous quality improvement system operating at 3 levels. First, institutional level at the top. This covers the entire university. It follows the cycle: setting learning outcomes, implementation, and assessment and evaluation, and feedback. And department or major level in the middle. Each academic program runs its own improvement cycle. At the bottom, course level. This is where individual instructors work. This is the level we will focus on most today. These 3 levels are interconnected. Each level operates independently, but also influences the others. Course level improvement feed into department assessment. Department achievement contribute to institutional outcomes. Institutional goals guide department and course design. Data flows from courses to departments to the institution. Improvements flow back down from institution to department to courses. This creates a comprehensive system of continuous improvement. No single level can succeed alone. Quality depends on all 3 levels working together effectively. Today, we will explore how to strengthen the course level, the foundation of this system. At the institute level, we must answer for fundamental questions for continuous quality improvement. Question 1, what are our university educational goals? What does an ideal graduate look like? What core competencies must every graduate possess? These define our institutional identity and mission. Question 2, what is our educational plan to achieve these goals? How do we organize our curriculum? What teaching approaches do we employ? What resources do we provide? The plan must directly support our stated goals. Question 3. How do we measure and evaluate achievement of our educational goals? What assessment method will we use? What data will we collect? How will we know if students have achieved the competencies? Measurement must be valid and reliable. And question 4, what is our feedback system for improving goal achievement? How do we analyze assessment data? Who reviews the results? What processes exist for making improvement? How do we close the loop? These 4 questions create the framework for institutional improvement. Every university must answer them clearly and systematically. Without clear answers, improvement becomes random rather than strategic. At the department or major level, we ask parallel questions. Question 1. What are the department educational goals? What major competencies must students develop? These should align with institutional goals, but be more specific to the discipline. Question 2. What is the educational plan to achieve these goals? How is the major curriculum structured? What sequence of courses build these competencies? What pedagogical approaches does the department emphasize? Question 3. How do we measure and evaluate achievement of departmental goals? What assessment method work best for our discipline? When and how often do we assess students? What standard defines successful achievement? Question 4. What is the feedback system for improving goal achievement? How does the department review assessment data? How processes exist for curriculum revision? How do we ensure continuous improvement? The major level is crucial. This is where general institutional goals become discipline-specific outcomes. This is where faculty expertise directly shape student making. Strong major level assessment drives both course improvement and institutional effectiveness. At the course level, instructors must answer the same 4 questions. Question 1. What is the course educational goals? What specific learning outcomes should the student achieve? How do these outcomes connect to major and institutional competencies? Every course must have clear, measurable objectives. Question 2. What is the lesson plan to achieve these goals? How will class time be used? What teaching method best support these outcomes? What learning activities will students engage in? What resources and materials are needed? Question 3. How do we measure and evaluate achievement of course goals? What assessment method will we use? When will assessment occur? What criteria define successful performance? How will we grade the student work? Question 4. What is the feedback system for improving goal achievement? How do we use assessment data to improve teaching? How do we provide feedback to students? What change will we make for the next offering? The course level is where students directly experience education. This is where learning actually happens. Strong course level assessment is foundation of all quality improvement. If courses do not work well, nothing else matters. This is why today we focus primarily on course level evaluation. This slide shows how a comprehensive CQI system operates in practice. At the top, institute level, the university sets overall goals. It implements strategic plans. It measures and evaluates institutional outcomes. Reaches feedback into strategic planning. In the middle level, major level or department level. Major level is for curriculum, official curriculum. Department level is for extra curriculum or a core curriculum. Each academic unit runs its own improvement cycle: planning, implementation, measurement and evaluation, and feedback. These align with institutional goals but address discipline-specific needs. At the bottom, course level and extracurricular program level. Individual courses each have their own improvement cycle. Extracurricular programs also follow this same process. These are the most granular level of quality improvement. Each level operates independently with its own feedback loop, but data flows upward. Courses inform departments, departments inform the institution, and guidance flow download. Institutional goals shape different departmental priorities, which shape course design. Course level multiple feedback errors show. Course level result feed into departmental reviews. Departmental result feed into institutional assessment. Institutional improvement guide departmental changes. Departmental improvement guide course redesign. This multi-level system ensures alignment and continuous improvement throughout the entire institution. No level works in isolation. Now we come to our central question. When learning outcomes are defined as competencies, how do we evaluate and provide feedback? Today, we will address four key areas. First, measurement and evaluation of core competencies. How do we assess university-wide competencies that all students must develop? Second, measurement and evaluation of major competencies. How do we department assess discipline-specific competencies? Third, measurement and evaluation of curriculum learning outcomes. How do we individual courses assess their specific learning objectives? Fourth, feedback of evaluation result. How do we use assessment data to improve at all levels? These four topics will guide our discussion today. Each builds on the previous one. Together, We create a complete system for competence assessment and improvement. Let's explore each area in detail.